Hi, everybody. We are looking at temperament, but this time with a specific look into what do you do about highly intense children who fall apart about nothing? What can you do when children fall apart over the littlest thing? Now, with temperament, we're not talking about falling apart over one little thing one time. Or the child turns 2 and they get into a stage where they're really intense and they're falling apart and they're having tantrums. This webinar is going to give you insight into the children who are intense all the time, like from when they were born. When they were hungry, they screamed like they were dying. When they were happy, they burst with joy. When they got into the ones, if they didn't get what they wanted, they would scream and fall apart, and this continued into the 2s. If they're mixed with high intensity and persistence, they would lock in for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or longer. Guess what? I got 2 of them, 2 highly intense children that I raised. And guess what? Other people, some people are doing childcare and in classrooms, might have even more than 2. So today we're going to look at what can you do to help that highly intense child become successful. Because what we know about temperament is it doesn't matter what temperament traits you have, it matters what you learn and how you use the positive side to grow the positive side in that child so that every child can thrive. Not one temperament is good or bad. So here I am. I have my 2-year-old and my 6-year-old, and we're driving in the car to go to my brother's house. We had been visiting my cousin. We'd left my cousin's house with a bag of candy. She had eaten, my younger one, she was 2, she had eaten a lot of candy. So I had said, no more candy. And we had candy there in the car with us. So we are driving in the car and she says, I want the candy. Nope, you already ate candy. We're done with candy. I want the candy. No, you cannot have the candy. What's more, I'm driving. You need to calm down. I want the candy. Give me the candy. 15 minutes later, she is still screaming. I am losing my mind, but I'm driving. So I start my series of parenting strategies. I try to distract her. Remember where we're going? We're going to my brother's house. It's going to be so fun. She still keeps screaming. Restating the rule. Remember, we do not eat candy right now. You can have candy after we eat lunch. She's still screaming. So then I start yelling, knock it off. Does that work? Yelling at intense children? No, she increased her intensity. So then I decided to try the great strategy of bribing. So I said, if you be quiet from now until we get to my brother's house, you can have one of those pieces of candy. It didn't work either. She still kept screaming. So finally I threatened her, if you don't knock it off right now, we are not going to his house. She still kept screaming. Finally, I was like, knock it off. I pulled the car over. I said, you stop right now or I'm not driving. 15 minutes later, she's still screaming. I get out of the car. I'm at the side of the road, the side of the freeway going, what can I do with this intense child? I'm losing my mind. I had tried everything that I knew to do at that point, and nothing was working. Have you guys been there before? Type in the comment box if you've had this experience where a child's falling apart and you try everything, even threatening, bribing, yelling at them to knock it off. Does it work? Did it work for you? I see a thumbs up. Maybe it didn't work so well, huh? Yes, you've been there, huh, Melanie? Good afternoon, Julie. I'm so glad you're back joining us. Hi, Amy and Jackie, Susan. Oh, good. I'm so glad you're all here. So here I am driving in the car. My intense child is falling apart. It's been almost 40 minutes. The end of that story is we show up at my brother's house. We are both in tears. I'm standing there holding her at the door and we're both crying. And yes, my brother still makes fun of me today for that. So what I want to do is I want to share with you how to work successfully with an intense child so you don't have the same experience that I had that day. And I will share a story where I applied that strategy and it really worked. What's more, you will learn the strategy, apply it, and you will help the child not only learn to deal with those intense feelings, but you will help in the moment to reduce some of those intense feelings and help the child calm down so that they can be redirected to something more helpful. So they will develop a life skill that will help them succeed not only in your care today in your home or center or classroom, but tomorrow in school and in life. So stick with me for the next 10 minutes or so, and you're gonna get some great strategies. So let me tell you, remember temperament, it doesn't change. It's stable over time. So I'm not going to give you a strategy today that's going to make that intense child not be intense. The child is intense. However, how can they learn to master some of those feelings and have appropriate responses so they aren't screaming and throwing tantrums at 8, 10, 12, or as adults, right? So the key is when it comes to temperament, the child has something they need to learn. So that child, everything in their body says, ah, they're just exploding. It's like racehorses are running through them when they get upset. So what do they need to learn? Okay, so the first thing is we need to help them learn to stay calm. How do we do that? We stay calm. But why is it so important? I'll tell you why. There's this hand model. I'm going to give you some resources around this. So here's our reptilian part of our brain. Here is the emotional part of our brain that really, this is where we love, this is where we hate, this is where we fall apart. It's in this emotional part. And here's our thinking part. It's right here in your brain, actually. It's the thinking part of your brain that helps you regulate your emotions, not yell at somebody in that moment you really want to, not slam a door. That's what helps us stay in control. So what happens is as stress builds up, it builds up. We get more and more and more upset. Finally, we might go, knock it off. That's what Dan Siegel, who wrote No Drama Discipline, calls flipping your lid. Have you ever done it? I have. So when a child is falling apart, when they're in a tantrum, when they're super emotional, super intense, they have flipped their lid. So here's us, we come in, we're in control, they have flipped their lid. If we're calm, cool, and relaxed, we might be able to help them get in control. But if we come super highly intense, we're gonna mirror each other. Literally, the mirror neurons in our brain copy what we see. So if I look at you and I go, hi, you probably smiled right there. Whereas if I look at you and I go, you might be grimacing right now. So that's mirror neurons. We literally catch feelings from each other. So if I'm under stress and I'm flipping my lid, the chance that the child is going to flip their lid is even higher. So what intense children need in order to calm down is for us to come in. They flip their lid. We need to come in calm. So we need to take deep breaths. And then the second part, so we're going to come in calm, and then we're going to do what Dan Siegel calls name it to tame it. Have you guys ever heard of this before? Name it to tame it. What we're talking about is labeling the emotion. And I don't mean just, you're mad, but we need to go outside right now, so you need to put that away. No, that's not really helping the child feel heard. So what you do is you get at their level, you're calm, they flip their lid, and you label what's going on with them. You're so upset. You want to go outside. You want to go outside right now. Oh, you're frustrated that you don't get to go outside right now. I'm sorry too. I know you really, really want to. Do you see how I did that? So I am calm. I am labeling the feelings like I really understand. I'm trying to put myself in your position. Did you notice what I didn't do? I didn't say but at the end of it. The minute I say but, I have now discounted their feelings. So I'm going to ask you one more important question. So I really want you to tune in here with me and give me some answers. When you are upset, I mean really upset and really mad, what do you need? I'll add mine to the list. I need to go for a walk. I actually need to do something physical when I'm upset. So there's all these different stress responses. Some people want empathy and to be heard. Some people just want quiet. Just let me take a break. Let me collect myself. So that's what we're going to give a child. Why is it when I explained my child throwing that tantrum, that story I told earlier, that she was falling apart, totally losing it? Why was it recommended that I would hit her or give her a timeout? Would you do that to your friend? No, of course you wouldn't. So why would we give a child a timeout just because they're upset? So what happens with highly intense children, they flip their lid. They can't think anymore. So they need us to validate them, to really empathize with them, to feel their feelings for a minute, or so somebody to give you empathy and understanding, but then to back off a little bit and let you collect yourself, let you calm down. So that's the trick. There's no easy answer. But us staying calm is the most important. Because remember, highly intense children are not feeling feelings differently than other children. They're expressing them differently. So it's not that we have to jump up and change the whole world for an intense child. They're just learning to deal with those strong feelings. But if we can at least be there and empathize with them, it's going to get them to the next step. So the very last step is help. Help. Actually offer assistance, especially for the littles, like 2-year-olds or 1-year-olds. They don't really know what to do, but even older ones. So a child comes in from school, they're really stressed out. You're like, I need you to do your homework right now. Right now? If you were at a training all day long, would you want to then go do more training? Maybe they need a break. Maybe they need space. Maybe they need a hug. So really read their cues. What is it they're needing? And help them get that. Give them a little bit of empathy and understanding and space or whatever it is they're needing. So help, offer assistance. So within this, we're going to get to what you want. I know you want to know, but how do I get them to knock it off, right? How do I get them to stop being so intense? Well, let me tell you, when you label their feelings, when you express what it is they're experiencing and you give them true empathy for that, the stress hormone in their body that caused them to flip their lid goes down 50%. So now they're starting to calm down. Their thinking hat is getting back on there. So now they're going to be open to your redirection. So let me ask you, what could they do with all this anger? They're really upset or they're disappointed. They're frustrated. So what can they do when they're really upset? So I'm going to give you a couple things. So when they're really upset, when they're younger, like 4 and younger, you might teach them this thing called squeeze the oranges, shake off the juice. Because it gives us that like, oh, I feel so tense, but I'm going to release. What's another thing? Do you know of any? I just learned one in a parenting group the other day. I love being able to connect with all of you and learn more strategies. It was like you blow up the balloon. So you go, you're blowing up your balloon. Take a deep breath in, blow it some more. Let out all the air. Isn't that kind of a silly one? But it helps them reset a little bit. It helps them in a fun way get some deep breaths and really relax a little bit. Another one with a balloon is you fill the balloon up with air and you let the air out. So these are some hands-on examples of things you can do. And the good news is when this intense child learns what they can do with that intensity, they're so upset they can learn to, and then shake off the juice or take deep breaths or go take a break. When they learn that, you will have given them the skill that they can use for the rest of their lives. I learned this skill when I was in my 30s. I used to fall apart so often. So here I am. I'm going to share my last story. I'm with my child, my highly intense child, and we're having a similar experience in the car, but now we're in our kitchen and she is falling apart and it has been 15 minutes. She wants this treat. Back to treats. How many battles do we have over treats? So we are sitting there in this battle and she is falling apart and I am staying calm. I'm taking deep breaths. I'm empathizing with her. I know you really want that cookie right now. I am so sorry you can't have that cookie. I know. Don't you wish you could just eat up those cookies? I know this is so hard for you. When you're ready, I'm here for you. And I had my hands open like this. I'm here for you. I'll give you a hug when you need one. And then I would take deep breaths again. I would remain calm. After a few minutes, she went like this. Literally, she goes, in the middle of her tantrum, she goes, and walked toward me and grabbed my legs and just held my legs. In that moment, I had done it. I'd helped her come back to center, find her calm place, and recover without giving in, without giving her what she actually wanted. But I did give her understanding and empathy and somebody who cared for her in her most difficult moment. So I had my good days, I had my bad days, just like I'm sure you will. But in the end of the day, we want them to learn this skill. Kids with high intensity, you're right, they need to learn to calm themselves, and you're going to be their best teacher. You will not be able to change these little kiddos. They will always be high intensity. But the very last piece, celebrate that intensity. Really enjoy the positive, intense moments and celebrate that little burst of energy, because these are the kids that are going to entertain you in the future. You can, if you like my stuff, you can guess what I am. I'm also high intensity. So for me, it's been difficult because I've needed to make sure that I keep my own intensity in check, because yelling at children does not calm them down. If you have a child in your care, age 3 or older, you want to show them this video. You're not going to believe it. It's going to teach them what I taught you about the hand model of the brain, so that they can collect themselves and learn about what it's like to flip your lid and the things they can do to calm back down. So this is a great extra thing that I've added to the Temperament Tools Facebook group. So if you want to join that, you're very welcome to. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you at a future Naptime Nuggets or a future online class. Over and out.